I decided to put this quick video together to show a couple of tips with Didgeridoo based on a response to a friend who mentioned they were interested to learn how to chirp and do circular breathing. So I'm not an expert by any means, but I do know a few tricks, so I thought I would share those with you. Hopefully you'll find them useful. So the first one, let's just start off with a simple didge sound. Pressure on the lips and the edge of the didgeridoo will help to get us different sounds. So one of the things that I notice is I can create harmonics or chirping effects by manipulating the way that the air moves over my tongue and then out through my teeth. So let's take a look at some harmonics, for example. So those different highs and lows, those rises, I find I'm able to do by manipulating the air and changing the shape of my tongue. So there's a couple of patterns that I try to pay attention to in a few shapes. One of them is curving the tongue in a U, for example. And by making that curve and then moving the tip up and down, I change the way that the air moves through that U curve, comes out over the tongue, and then hits the top of my teeth, and then goes down under the lips and into the didgeridoo. And so by manipulating that, I notice there's 3 distinct positions that really give me a major difference in tone. Now I can move through all 3 of them quickly or slowly. For example, I'm going to go high, medium, low, high, medium, low. So that's just the harmonics of the air moving across my tongue, hitting my teeth, and then going down into the didge. The way I really pull this off is I try to put pressure on the edge of the didgeridoo to kind of move my lips up, forward, and back, which exposes that front line of teeth, kind of like showing your teeth to the inside of the didge. And I find that works pretty well. Now if I move slowly in between them and gradually by taking my tongue and keeping it towards the back of my mouth, then up and forward, and manipulating that general shape and flow, that's how I get the sound of those harmonics to change. For example, now, this brings us to the next concept, which is kind of using the air forcefully and using the teeth and the tongue together to create little stopping points. The other thing that I do is I really firm up my cheeks when I try to make this next sound, and by pushing the air out rapidly through the cheeks and moving the tongue forward quickly till it hits the front of the teeth causes this next sound to happen. So what I'm doing is, I'm just moving the tongue quickly forward towards the teeth. So now let's combine those together. For example, a little bit of harmonics and the wicking sound. So those seem to work pretty well together. So the next thing I'd like to show is vocalization, and that's pretty easy to do. All I'm going to do is make a sort of throat call by using my vocal cords while I'm doing the didge blow. And that's pretty much akin to whoop, whoop. Really all I'm doing is that while I'm doing a didge call. So check it out. So a little bit of laughing, a little bit of noise making, and throat calls, some sounding and resonance through the didge gives that unique sound. Now there's 2 sounds that I find that I'm able to do. I'm sure there's a whole range in between, but I find a very high sound that's distinct like whoop, whoop through the didge, or a lower sound like om through the didge will give me 2 different main octaves that I'll blend into. I'm sure the size of the didge, the size of the mouth ports all have something to do with the type of tone that comes out. But let's examine those too. I'll start with the low one. So notice the difference between a regular didge call and a didge call with vocalization. I'll do the regular first. And now, regular into vocalization. Much more powerful tone. Good deep bass, I find, comes from that. Now, if I mix the two together and back and forth, we can get some really great sounds. For example, mixing and matching the harmonics and the wicking sound and the didge call and some of the throat vocalization all makes for really great didge play. But you run out of air real quick. So that brings us to the next concept, which is circular breathing. So circular breathing really eluded me and frustrated me for a while. I spent hours trying to practice it. To make a long story short, the secret that I found is if I can fill my cheeks with air, hold it there, and breathe in and out of my nose, then I can circular breathe. For example, and then timing those together, so I'm actually going to blow out using my cheeks while I sneak a breath of air in through the nose. We'll create a nice circular breathing effect. For example, comes in through my nose, I'm going to signal with my hand pointing up, letting you know when I'm taking that sneak breath in through my nose and pinching the air that I'm storing in my cheeks, forcing it down through the tube, allowing constant wind to stay in the didgeridoo while giving me an opportunity to take a little quick needed breath. For example, continue on doing that, I can technically do that forever. Well, I don't know about forever, but maybe at least for 20 minutes, half an hour, probably even a full hour if I really tried. So the next step is combining all of those tactics together to create an interesting sound. What I try to do is time my breaths with the actual beat that I'm trying to achieve. So for example, something like a 4/4 time. So that's pretty much a wrap. I think by exploring all the different sounds, I've found that there really isn't a right and wrong way to do things, but there is an effective way to do things. I find that by keeping the right amount of breath in and timing my circular breathing with my bellows gives me enough time to make a good long sound, but also time it with the beat so there appears to be some sort of percussion going on. And that's really all I got for you. Thanks for watching.